Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it with Dr. Ranti.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Dr. Ranti Jacobs Agbaminaje, and today we are diving into a topic that, while often misunderstood, is crucial to forming deep and meaningful connection. Okay, the power of vulnerability in relationships. Why it's okay to open up, power of vulnerability in relationships, and why it is okay to open up with to your partner.
Marriage, sex, relationship, so much more to talk about.
So, vulnerability in relationships, that's right. We are talking about the power of opening up, letting your guard down, and why being vulnerable isn't just okay, but it is essential in your relationship. We live in a world where strength is often defined by how tough and resilient we appear on the outside. But when it comes to relationships, strength looks a little different. It's often about building walls to protect yourself from being hurt. Okay, it's about tearing those walls down to let someone into your life.
Let's talk about it.
In today's episode, I'm going to share with you why vulnerability is so powerful, how it strengthens relationships, and how embracing it can lead to the kind of love and connection you are all craving for. So let's go into it. Okay. In my article right here, the first thing I wrote is vulnerability creates authentic connections. Yes. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we invite authenticity into our relationship. What does this mean? It means that by sharing our true selves, our fears, our insecurities, our hopes, and dreams, we create a space for genuine connection. You can't truly feel loved or understood if you are always hiding who you are. Vulnerability bridges that gap. Now, I know it can be scary to open up because you risk getting hurt. When we open up, we show our partners who we truly are. And in return, we allow them to do the same. This creates a foundation for relationships to build on authenticity. This creates a foundation for a relationship built on authenticity, which is where real connection begins.
Marriage, sex, relationship, so much more to talk about.
Vulnerability builds trust. Another key benefit of vulnerability is how it builds trust. When you open up and share your emotions, you are telling your partner, I trust you enough to show you my true self. That act of trust is often reciprocated. It deepens the bond between you both. Being vulnerable doesn't mean oversharing every little thing. It means offering your partner a window into your inner world. Over time, this kind of openness creates a stronger, more trusting relationship. And trust, my friends, it creates trust. I'm glad to let you know that the bedrock of any successful partnership is trust. Vulnerability encourages emotional intimacy. And vulnerability, I'll say, is the gateway to emotional intimacy. Trust me, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you are just sharing the good part of yourself. You are also sharing the part where you struggle, where you feel afraid of uncertain. And this opens the door for your partner to support you emotionally. You then, when both of you are willing to be vulnerable to each other, your relationship becomes a safe space for true intimacy, and that's where the magic happens.
Let's talk about it.
Vulnerability helps resolve conflicts. No relationship is without conflicts, but how we handle those moments of tensions makes all the difference. Vulnerability can turn conflict into an opportunity for a deeper understanding. No relationship is without conflict, but how we handle those moments of tension makes all the difference. Okay? Vulnerability can turn conflict into an opportunity for deeper understanding. For instance, instead of lashing out in anger or shutting down, try approaching your partner with vulnerability. For example, instead of saying, "You never make time for me," you might just say, "Oh, I feel lonely when we don't spend time together, and that makes me worry about our connection." See the difference? Vulnerability allow you to express your true feelings, which invites empathy and understanding instead of defensiveness. Vulnerability leads to personal growth. Being vulnerable requires courage. It forces us to face our own insecurities and step out of our comfort zone. But the growth that comes from being vulnerable is incredible. When we embrace vulnerability, we accept that life and relationships are full of uncertainties. We can't control everything, and that's okay. This acceptance helps us to grow not only in our relationships but also in our personal lives.
Let's talk about it.
Vulnerability nurtures compassion. Here's something beautiful about vulnerability. It nurtures compassion. When you allow yourself to be open, you naturally become more empathetic towards your partner's struggle. This mutual compassion fosters a relationship built on kindness, understanding, and support. Vulnerability helps us care for each other on a deeper level. And that's the kind of bond that can withstand the test of time. 7. Vulnerability strengthens resilience. Opening up to someone is not without risk. You might get hurt, yes, but every time you allow yourself to be vulnerable and face that fear ahead of you, you build resilience. You become stronger, not because you are never hurt, but because you learn that even through the pain, you can heal and move forward. Yes, you will learn that even through the pain, you can always heal and move forward.
Marriage, sex, relationship, so much more to talk about.
This resilience strengthens not only you, but also your relationship. It teaches you that vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness, but a powerful tool for growth and connection. So do not see it as a sign of weakness. It's a tool for growth in your relationship and for a great connection. So, what have you learned today? Vulnerability in relationship isn't something to shy away from. It's something to embrace. It builds trust, fosters emotional intimacy, helps resolve conflict, and leads to personal growth. It strengthens resilience and nurtures compassion. When you open up and allow yourself to be vulnerable, you invite deeper, more meaningful connection into your life. So here is my challenge to you this week. Be vulnerable, whether it's with your partner, with a friend, or a family member. Take the step to share something real, something honest, and watch how that openness transforms your relationship. Remember, it's okay to open up. In fact, it's one of the most powerful things you can do in any relationship. Please don't forget to subscribe and share. Let's talk about it.
Real life, oh, real people, real issues everywhere. There's a voice to hear in the midst of the storm.